my part in the 23rd Street fire, which took place on October 17th, 1966. That fire occurred 40 years ago, and I remember it just like it happened, like it's happening right now. Some facts about that. We had a detail. We had Bernie Tepper of Engine Company 18, and we had Joe Kelly of Engine Company 18. They were on a 1-year electrical fire detail. When I come off the detail, there were no berths open, no groups open in that firehouse, so they came to us for two day tours. And over lunch one day, Joe Kelly was telling me about how we had it made, how we were raping the city, how we were just taking them to the cleaners. And I didn't like to hear that kind of talk, so I told him, I said, hey, listen, we're like a standing army. If you don't do anything all year long and you catch one good job, I said, we earn our keep. He said, relax, lighten up, he says, come on, we got it made. And he always had a smile on his face, Kelly, and I like both of them. They were nice guys and easy to get along with. But the next night, I thought both of them were dead. 1966, I was on the job 3.5 years, and I must have been 31 years old at the time, and I'm 71 now. And let me start at the beginning. The night of the fire, we had a run, about 5:45. And in this run, there was Joe Kelly, there was Bernie Tepper, there was Jimmy Gallinaw, who was driving, there was John Donovan, and the Proby Ray, and of course Lieutenant Priori. Now, me and Toby, that's my buddy, my partner on the job, we come on the job the same day, and we were appointed to Engine 24 the same day, and we were very close. Him and I went to the Proby, because Probies are always a little uncomfortable for that, always waiting for that big fire. He was waiting for his first big fire, and I think he felt he didn't belong until he had that fire. But we went over and made small talk, trying to make him feel comfortable and relaxed, and then we took up and went back to the firehouse. It was just a full salon. And at the firehouse, later on in the night, I was sent out on a detail, a tag summons detail, but there was, these tag summons details were, we went out on them because we were assigned to go out on them, but if we had a complaint or a reinspection or something, we would incorporate that into the tag summons detail, because we were out and we would take care of it. While I was out, I took care of a complaint. The last building in our area, in our district. As I was coming out of the building, if I took care of my business, a civilian called me over. Hey, fireman, come here. And I was dressed with a cap and a uniform, so he didn't recognize me. But this fireman, this civilian, was a celebrity in his own right, and he was a buff in our firehouse. His name was Mike Rubino. And what was interesting about him was that he was a concert violinist, and he was a prize fighter. He fought 7 world champions. And Clifford Odets was fascinated with the idea of a violinist, a concert violinist, being a prize fighter. And he wrote a story called The Golden Boy, which was based on Mike Rubino's life. And he, like I said, he would hang around the firehouse. He was very close to us. And he called me over. He says, I want to show you something. He says, he took me into this building, which was one building out of my district. And when nighttime came and they put the lights on in the building, how they did it was they took 2 big heavy wires, and put it like this here. Put it together like that, and the lights went on in the building. In the morning, when they come down, they would just unhook that. And I said, well, what? This is a terrible violation and very dangerous. So I called up 18 Engine. I told Mike I'd take care of it, don't worry. I called up 18 Engine, talked to Lieutenant Priori. I can still remember the conversation. I could still hear his voice in my ears. I told him, I said, you got to take care of this violation order. I said, this is a bad one. I said, somebody should write one up, violation order up on this. This is a, and he did. He sent John Donovan out on a tag summons detail. And John went and took care of this violation. He issued a violation order for this particular thing. If it wasn't for my phone call to Lieutenant Priori, John Sullivan wouldn't have lived through that night. Anyway, later on in the night when I returned to quarters, an all hands come in on 23rd Street and Broadway. Second alarm come in. We checked our schedule, see when we were going to roll. We rolled on the 3rd, and we responded on the 3rd. When the 3rd alarm come in, we rolled, and we were assigned to the block on Broadway just off of 23rd Street, and we took a line into a building, deep into that building. It was a store, and it was full of debris, full of boxes, and it was tough going, getting it. We went pretty deep into it, and there was a fire to our left as we went in, and the store next to us, adjoining this store we were in, collapsed, and there was a fully involved basement going merrily, and we put water on it. We put a lot of water on it, and Toby jumped up on some boxes because it was really tough to maneuver. He jumped up there. I passed him a line. I went up and I backed him, and we were putting water on that fire, and it didn't dawn on us that the fire that was burning in so fiercely in the next door was also burning under us. Well, I guess it was a short time after that we knew that this was kind of untenable, and my boss, the lieutenant, he says, "Come on, let's get out of here." He says, "This looks very bad," and we got out. And as we got out, there was a commotion from the spectators across the street watching what was happening. There was a group of firefighters on a roof, and they were scrambling to get off the roof, but they couldn't because the aerial ladder was engulfed in flames. Fire was surrounding it. So we shot our line straight up, put an umbrella over them so they can get down off that aerial ladder, and they did safely. And it was very satisfying. It was a nice feeling. We got those boys off, and after a while, a period of time, the fire seemed to have been put out, and we were convinced that, okay, this is over. And we were told to go around the corner to report, relocate around the corner on 23rd Street, the 23rd Street side. We were on the Broadway side. We went on the Broadway side, and on the 23rd Street side rather, and we seen an enormous amount of fire, like another fifth alarm fire happened. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Fire was everywhere. So, and about that time we started hearing rumors of missing firefighters, and I remember my worries were, come on, get your head count straight. I mean, I was just with 18 Engine because we heard 18 Engine was missing. I said, I was just with them guys. And in deep in my mind, I was kind of glad Jimmy Gallinor was safe because he was driving, only he wasn't safe. He died even before we got there. And Jimmy was looked like looked like a college kid. He was just a nice looking boy, and he played a guitar, and every time I went to 18 Engine, he made me feel very much at home, and I really liked him. I considered him a friend, and when I heard that 18 was lost, they fell into the cellar, and it was a partitioned off cellar. There was no way out. This was terribly illegal. The people that owned the building, they just sealed off a room. So when they went down that cellar and they were fighting that fire because they found them on the line, there was no way out. They were still working the fire. They went down there. They had an active line, water, and they were doing their best to keep the fire at bay. But it was too much. There was no way out. There was no way to get them. And it's like the boys that come in off of, I think it was the Battalion 7. They ran down the hallway, the floor fell behind them, and they roasted in the corner. There was no way out. two guys, the chief and his aide, and it was terrible. But it was a very, very, very cold night. It was a bitter cold night, and we were told to take a line in by Chief Love into, I don't know if it was the drugstore or it was the store next to it. And we did. We took a line in there. Well, the fire was all, at this point, the fire was below us. It was in the cellar. And down the block, down a ways, we could see it coming out of the upper floors. When I rounded the corner, it was just all coming out the top. I guess it extended up, but where I was, it was under the floors. And it was very deceptive because the floors were built up layer upon layer, and it looked solid. It felt solid. And when we went into that, we were told to put a distributor in. The distributor when we put a hole in the floor, and we put a distributor down. The distributor produces a tremendous amount of water in a circular manner, and it engulfs the fire with water. And usually it's very effective. This distributor burnt off it right at the hose line. It burnt right off. That's how hot the fire was. It was about this time I don't know if it was a sixth sense or what, but I looked and I felt the floor. It was getting very soft, and I told my boss, I said, "Hey Lou, this floor's getting soft." He says, "Jesus, you're right." He says, "Joe, let's get out of here." And as we backed out, it's indescribable what happened, because we took a step and the floor fell. Took another step and the floor fell. Took another step and the floor fell. It's like we took a step and it was waiting for us. And we got to the doorway, a truck, he said, "Where you guys going?" I said, "We had to back out." And he says, "Give me that line." He says, I'll put the distributor down there," because by this time we had another distributor waiting for us out there. He said, I'll put it in. I said, "Don't go, the floor's going to drop." He said, "Come on, give me that thing." He's a big, tough guy. He picked it up and he took me. I tried to stop him. He went to take a step and the whole floor come down right in front of him. And the guy looked at me, looked at the floor, looked at me again, and he was speechless. It was white outside. I told you. We took a blow, got some coffee. And the coffee was so good because it warmed the hands and it warmed the body. And we were working many, many hours now, all through the night. And then we were told at that point that we had to take a line up there was a staircase leading right from the ground floor all the way to the top of the building, and you could see it. It wasn't a circular. It went up a level, right to the top, and you could see fire really going, fully involved on the top floor. And we took a line up. The staircase started to list, and we knew that we couldn't get up 5 flights with the staircase like that. We would be trapped. We got up maybe a flight and a half, and the guys on the top floor, they were barreling down, looking to get out. And they said to us, "Listen, guys, the floor is listening, get out." And we had our orders, And but then the chief of department and the mayor ordered us out of the building right away. Mayor Lindsay, not the chief of department, the Commissioner Lowry. He ordered us out. We were close to the second floor landing, and I don't think we could have went much further. We got out of the building and we took up outside. John Donovan, he'd come back from, this was before the quantum. It's worth telling because it affected me. He went out on a detail, and when he come back, the company was gone. Now he managed to get to the fire scene, and he heard his friends were missing. He took a line with some other guys that the truck company, I believe, took the line, and he ran into the building, and he fell into the hole, not knowing the floor wasn't there. He fell into the hole, but his hand caught on the controlling nozzle, and he was swinging in the fire. Now, John Donovan was, I like to call him a Damon Runyon character, because he was just a New Yorker. He was very, very blasé. Nothing bothered him. He was a very relaxed guy, and nice to be with, because nothing affected him. But when he came out of that building, what happened was he was swaying, and his coat was starting to burn, his hand was starting to slip, and just when he thought it was finished, a hand reached in, grabbed the rescue loop on the air pack, and another hand, and the next thing you know, he was out just that fast, out in the street, and I had him. And he was telling me, he was shaking, he was literally shaking. He said, I was hanging there, I was burning, and I got goosebumps. I said, John, you're all right, I got you, you're okay, calm down. He was, I tried to find him, I couldn't find him, on and on. Anyway, I was glad that he survived, but Jimmy Galmo died because he drove the rig for Manny Fernandez, who was changing clothes during the interchange of personnel there when we were groups coming on, groups going off. So he drove the rig because he was a qualified chauffeur, and but Manny drove the second run, which was the killer, and Jimmy died. It was in the morning. It must have been 8 o'clock when I realized that the incoming shift, the day shift, was coming to work, and they were coming in to relieve the guys that worked through the night. I didn't realize how fast the time went, how many hours went by, because we were working the night tour, and it was daylight, and we were searching through the wreckage, and I remember being way down.
So the fire was out?
The fire was out at this point. Yeah, we had control of the fire. We put it out, and we got down. We were way down, and looking through the debris and everything, and I heard a rumble. And I turned to my boss. I says, "You hear that?" And he said, "Yeah, I heard it." He says to me, "Relax, I'm gonna go check it out." And he checked it out, and come back. He said, "No, that was just the guys drilling, and there was some stuff going on, And it was tough. Also, in those days, we didn't have many masks, and I didn't have a mask that night. We carried 3 Scott air packs on the rig, and you got 6 guys working, and 3 guys didn't have masks. So a lot of times you went to a fire, you had to go through the night with this. Anyway, I just want to bring up a point about Jimmy Galmo's wife. His wife was a very, very nice lady, and she was a very pretty woman. And as I understand it, her father was a firefighter, and her father supposedly died I was told, in that area. So she lost her husband and she lost her father in that area, and I really felt bad for that lady. I mean, she was a nice person, and it struck. There's an aside to all this that I'm going to mention, but because who I'm doing this for, Kevin told me, he said, any aside you have, anything you want to say it, because it's all history. There was an elderly gentleman by the name of Mr. Healy who lived on 2 Fifth Avenue down by the village, and he was a confidant to a number of presidents. He was a very bright and brilliant man, and he would buffet our firehouse, but he went to Rome, and the Pope gave him a blessing and empowered him to pass it on to firefighters. I never thought anything about this when I was on the job, but he would pray. Every time we left the firehouse, he would just be trembling with this prayer. And I look at the 23rd Street fire, and we come out of that. And when I retired from the job, I understand 3 of our guys died, 24 engine, and but they died as 5 truck in the interchange of personnel. And then came 9/11, and I remember it took me 3 days to call the firehouse because I was so emotional about it. I felt terrible. But when I called the firehouse, I talked to a young firefighter there, and I said, "How many guys did we lose, Jimmy?" And he says, "Joe," he said, "I have to rethink fate." He said, "We were in Tower 2, we seen Tower 1 come down." Well, if in Tower 1, he seen Tower 2 come down. He said, the night shift had the masks. They didn't have masks, so they ran out of the building. They made it out all right, and objects the size of cars are falling all around them, and he's saying to himself, any minute. And nothing happened. Yet I said to him, "How many guys did we lose?" He says, "Joe, we didn't lose a man in 24 engine, but 5 truck. Lost 11 men." And I'm saying to myself, same alarm, same run, same building. One company loses no men, the next company loses 11 men. I think, and I thought back to Mr. Healy. I'm wondering if it carried over. But anyway, shift came on. I was never one to. They had plenty of personnel there, and I remember them when they carried out. They found 18 engine, and when they carried them out, I was there. And those pictures they show you at the Wonder drugstore, I was one of those guys sitting there, standing there with our hats off, watching them bring it out. And fire department tradition has it, mandates it where only the company will take their own men out. So the incoming platoon for 18 engine carried their men out, and we were there. It was, and when we come back, when we were on that fire engine, back then, this was the 60s, where they had the race riots and they were shooting at us, and they were nobody really cared, you know. And we were on the back of that rig, exhausted, coming back. Man, nobody gave it a second thought. 12 firefighters died that day, and but one thing was good. When we had the funeral at St. Patty's Cathedral, I was very proud. As far as the eye can see, there was a long blue line, and firefighters came from all over the world, all over the country, to be there, which was a great. It meant a lot to all of us, you know. But the 23rd Street fire was significant in F.D.N.Y. history because 12 firefighters died that night. That was the largest, the most firefighters who ever died in F.D.N.Y. history up until that point, of course, until the World Trade Center tragedy. But 12 firefighters perished, and I'm going to tell you something. We're lucky we didn't lose 30, 40, or 50 firefighters that night. It could have just as easily happened. And I'm after it was over, after the fire was over, I sat back and I mourned for the friends I lost, but I felt that we were lucky in as much as that we didn't lose 40 or 50, maybe more.